Ma'am,
All right,
actually,
children, I had given
previous,
one assignment yesterday. So, how many of you have done that? That was a very small assignment. Have you done that?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, those who have not done it, please come forward, jaldi se, without wasting time. Tell me how many of you have not done that. I will find it out, so you let me know so that we can save some time. Sajida, have you done it?
यस मैम। मैम बस
Shrestha,
2 ही का किया था।
all right. Shrestha,
Yes, ma'am.
Achal.
मैम मेरी ये फर्स्ट क्लास है तो मैम अभी मैं मैथ
Yes,
से
I get it. Achal, what about you? Achal, respond quickly.
Yes,
Yeah, have you done
yes,
it?
ma'am.
All right. Sonali,
यस मैम।
Neha, Ayush. जल्दी जल्दी
यस
बताएं.
मैम।
Yes, ma'am.
Very good. Raghavendra, I think he was absent. Ritvesh hasn't done. Connection? कल से आज तक आपका कनेक्शन डिसकंटिन्यूअस रहा. I don't understand this. Anyway, Yamini, Aditya, Anand, have you done yesterday's assignment?
actually, ma'am, when you have taught Monera, that's why I have not done Monera one.
All right, but you have to make some effort at your own level, which is known as background search. So from next time, you do that. And whatever you cannot understand, I'm there to clarify. But make some effort from your side before you come empty-handed. Never come empty-handed to my class. All right. Aditya Anand,
Okay.
Palak Singh, please respond.
Yes, sir.
Okay, Palak Singh, why am I not hearing your audio or seeing your video? Why? Why you are typing? And Karthik, I think he was absent in yesterday's class, so I'm not asking Khushi and Himanshi. What about you? Be quick.
Yes, ma'am.
No, ma'am, I'm
Completely.
present yesterday's class.
You have? Okay. So what's the status of that assignment?
I have done it.
Done it. Thank you. Himanshi, if that is the reason or excuse, whatever that is, then you should always get in touch with your classmates. They all belong to 11th B unofficially, and don't think that they are not from your section or you don't know them. You've got to know them. By now, there are hardly any students from my own sections except Sajida, Sonali, and Neha. So doesn't matter for me. You all belong to 11B. So anyway, complete that assignment. Somebody help Himanshi, and tomorrow she will submit it. Don't help with the assignment. Just tell her what she's supposed to do. All right, children. So today I'm starting with euglenoids, and this is another group of kingdom Protista. Kingdom Protista is characterized by eukaryotic unicellular organisms. And yesterday we have learned about two such groups. Both of them were autotrophic as well as heterotrophic, having
मैम
different varieties. Yes, Diyash?
मैम ये मैम ये मेरी बैटरी लो हो रही है तो मैम ये मैं लेफ्ट कर रहा हूँ.
All right, कल से आप प्रिपेयर होकर आए.
ओके मैम.
Yeah. So both have some members which are, most of them are autotrophic, but some of them are heterotrophic. But chrysophytes don't have flagella. Dinoflagellates have two flagella. Chrysophytes have siliceous cell wall. Dinoflagellates have cellulosic cell wall. And other than that, dinoflagellates cause some problems when they grow in mass. So sometimes they release toxin substances in such large quantities that it becomes unfavorable for other aquatic life forms, and they start dying en masse. And once this cycle starts, then it creates further toxic conditions in the water body, and it totally disbalances the ecosystem of that particular area. But on the other hand, your chrysophytes, which are golden algae or diatoms, they are the chief producers of any ocean system. They do so much photosynthesis together, which is higher than all other photosynthetic forms present in the ocean system. The third group here, children, is of euglenoids. Euglenoids are very peculiar because here it is not that some members will be autotrophic, some of them will be heterotrophic. They themselves possess both the qualities. How? They are facultative heterotrophs. Facultative heterotrophs. And you must get familiar with this terminology at this stage because this is going to be useful in your नीट रिलेटेड क्वेश्चंस आल्सो फैकल्टेटिव कहीं लगा हो तो उसका मतलब हमें कैसे तुरंत याद आएगा फैकल्टेटिव का मतलब है दैट यू आर स्विचिंग टू दिस थिंग व्हिच इज रिटन आफ्टर द वर्ड फैकल्टेटिव यानी कोई एडवर्स कंडीशन होगी देन आई विल स्विच टू हेटेरोट्रॉफिज्म and otherwise I will remain autotrophic most of the time. जैसे आप वेजिटेरियन हैं लेकिन अगर आप किसी आइलैंड पे स्ट्रैंडेड हो जाएं then you can start eating anything, any animal which you can catch. So you are generally a vegetarian but you are a facultative non-vegetarian person, I should say. So the point being here that facultative shows that whatever is written after that is not the chief mode of functionality. It is switched only under unfavorable conditions. So if I say that euglenoids are facultative heterotrophs, it means that in normal conditions they will be autotrophic. They will do photosynthesis and make their own food. So euglenoids contain chlorophyll. But under adverse conditions, they become heterotrophs and they start ingesting food material from outside. The way amoeba does, the way paramecium does, they also start taking food material from their surroundings because the adverse condition is not allowing them to do photosynthesis. And that's why they are facultative heterotrophs, not heterotrophic under normal conditions. They would prefer to do photosynthesis, but if they cannot do it, let's become heterotroph. What else makes them different from dinoflagellates or chrysophytes? So they don't contain any cell wall. So a cell wall absent. However, outside the plasma membrane, a very protective and flexible, highly flexible protein layer is present, which is known as pellicle. So pellicle layer is present. It is proteinaceous in nature and it is very flexible and protective in nature. So outside the plasma membrane, cell ball like rigid structure is not there, no cellulose, no silica, no chitin, but yes we observe that a proteinaceous layer is present which gives a lot of flexibility to this organism. And are they mobile? Yes, they do contain flagella. So, movement will take place with the help of flagella. And since I told you that they are autotrophic, then it means that they contain chlorophyll. Contain chlorophyll. So, these are your euglenoids. And the common example that you must be guessing by now is Euglena. Another one is Paranema. Remaining, I leave it to you to find out and complete. This assignment will continue. You've got to search common genera of each group that we go through. So I'm giving you two examples here. Euglena and another is Paranema. They all are microscopic, autotrophic in general condition and they move through flagella They lack the cell wall and pellicle layer will be observed outside their plasma membrane. Now, these are aquatic organisms, absolutely aquatic in nature, and that is about your euglenoids. So, you all have seen the diagram of euglena. Let me give you a brief account of it. So the two flagella come out, and then there will be nucleus, cytoplasmic structure. But in case this euglena is turning into a heterotrophic organism, then here at the point of attachment of flagella, you will observe the entry point for food, which is serving the purpose of mouth. So this is the general basic structure of euglena. Euglena looks roughly slipper shaped. So don't be confused with the paramecium, because paramecium will have cilia. We will see in a moment. Paramecium belongs to a different group, but this is your general euglena, and euglenoids have these general characteristics. Any doubts in this group, children? Any doubts?
They are motile.
They are?
Motile.
They are motile, absolutely. If you see this, flagella or cilia or pseudopodia, anything which has movement, because flagella have this purpose to keep moving in a wave-like manner or in a whip-like manner, or in case of dinoflagellates, the flagella is producing whirlpool. So flagella is the organ of motility, cilia is the organ of motility, and pseudopodia, podia means feet and pseudo means false. So podia is also an organ of mobility. So if the cell contains such kind of structures, that cell is definitely mobile. While in case of diatoms, we have seen that they do not contain any cilia, flagella-like structure. So diatoms will move along with the movement of water waves. They will not move on their own. So any organism, if it is having such structures, outgrowth of the cell, it is definitely mobile. Understood? Tell me, children.
Yes,
Yes, ma'am.
ma'am.
All right. And you must be wondering what is the economic importance. So as such, there is not much. Like I told you, in case of chrysophytes, they help in the mass production of biomass in oceans. And chrysophytes are also autotrophic, and they are autotrophic as well as they have some negative aspects like causing red tides and toxin production. But here, they generally do not cause much trouble to us, and they are not of much use to us except for the research and study purposes, because they are important from this point of view. This shows that certain animals cross these boundaries, what we call as plants and what we call as animals. Plants were known to be autotrophic, animals were known to be like this, but these kind of connecting link organisms are very important in taxonomy, because they show that evolution happened like this. Maybe the organisms, many more organisms are like there, out there, that we need to explore, that might be containing multiple modes of functionalities, whether it is nutritional functionality or reproductive functionality or any other kind of life process. We should keep our mind open for such kind of organisms, and they actually are very helpful in understanding, okay, the boundary is not very clear cut between plants and animals. After this, we are coming to very interesting group, slime molds. So our next protist group is going to be slime molds, and I hope some of you might have seen that video that I had shared with you. Have you seen it?
Yes, ma'am.
So what
Yes,
is your
ma'am.
understanding? Are they mobile organisms or non-mobile?
Yes, ma'am, they are mobile.
Yes, ma'am.
They are pretty much mobile. And I have one question. Organisms which do not contain flagella or cilia, then how do they move? How is amoeba moving? How
With the
are
help of pseudopodia.
pseudopodia? But how is the pseudopodia produced?
Ma'am, by expansion in the in its cell membrane.
ये सेल है, ये इसकी मेम्ब्रेन है, ओके, अंडरस्टूड. बट इफ दिस इज ग्रोइंग, then what is the force behind this? Tell me, think. The cell has got only three components: nucleus, cytoplasm, and cell membrane. So something must be pushing the cell membrane. What is that? सेल के अंदर क्या होता है, सोचिए.
And cytoplasm.
Cytoplasm. Actually, all this kind of movement that we observe, like in case of amoeba or in case of slime molds also, if they don't have flagella and they are still moving, then very peculiar phenomena is responsible, which is a very common phenomena, but generally we don't study about it unless we are in higher classes, and that is, children, cytoplasmic streaming. Cytoplasmic streaming is very fascinating phenomena, and it is a very common one. So suppose this is the cytoplasm of the organism. It never remains static. Most of the cells, whether unicellular or multicellular, they show certain directionality of the cytoplasm. It is a very common phenomenon. So if the cytoplasm is streaming, it can move. Then if I have to produce pseudopodia, then the cytoplasm is streaming is directed towards this side so that it pushes the plasma membrane and the plasma membrane grows. And that's how these kind of organisms show mobility. So cytoplasmic streaming is a very fascinating phenomena. I will show you its video if I have it still in my system. Otherwise, you can just type it and see how fascinating this phenomena is. And that's why for slime molds, I introduced this concept to you. Just follow it through. So coming to slime molds. Now, how do we recognize them? Why am I calling them molds? Mold word is generally associated with the fungi like bread mold. So, they are not fungi as far as we can see that they are kept in an altogether different kingdom. Fungi is a very different kingdom. So, why are we calling them molds? Well, before the molecular study that proved that they do not have any cell wall and fungi are characterized by chitinous cell wall, people did not find the difference because what are slime molds? They grow on dead and decaying matter. Dead matter. And they were looking like slimy variants of fungi. So people call them slime molds. Just like other fungi which grows on dead and decaying matter, they were also growing. But after a lot of detailed study, many things came out. And what are those things which make them very different? So let us see. They can be unicellular or they can be syncytium like or syncytium. Now, syncytium is a multinucleated stage that can be present since the beginning or that can be formed by fusion of many unicellular cells. So, all the nuclei are present in a large mass which is known as syncytium or plasmodium. So plasmodium term is also associated with slime molds, which indicates this multinucleated stage of slime molds. Now, generally the plasmodium or multinucleated stage is formed when slime molds have to form the reproductive or fruiting bodies, or they have to move somewhere. Otherwise, unicellular forms are also found, but when it is time for their reproduction, then generally they come together, fuse together, form this syncytium-like mass, and then the fruiting bodies, beautiful fruiting bodies, will start appearing on them, or इसमें fruiting bodies will produce spores, which will be later on dispersed in the atmosphere. So once people found out that these cells, whether unicellular or multinucleate, they do not contain any cell wall. That differentiated them from fungi. First difference. But then later on, when these spores were studied, their spores contain chitinous cell wall. Now is the problem, because they are showing nutritional similarity and presence of chitin in their spores, which is so similar to the fungal character. But other than that, they do not have any cell wall like or mycelia like structure in their life cycle. How do fungi look like? Fungi have very characteristic mycelia. These mycelia will spread throughout the substrate, and these mycelia could be septate or they could be aseptate. But first the fungal mycelia is formed, only then beautiful fruiting bodies are observed over it. But here no mycelia like structure, no chitinous cell wall is present. The only similarity was that gave them the term mold was that they were growing on the dead and decaying matter. And later on found that their spores do contain chitinous cell wall. They are very resistant spores and they have chitin, which is again making them similar to the fungi. But still they were kept in a separate group like Protista because of the unicellular or amoeboid forms. These unicellular forms do not have a definite kind of shape. They roughly look like amoeba because that also doesn't have a definite shape. Otherwise, they will fuse together and form this plasmodium-like mass from which the fruiting body will appear. So let us enlist the characters of slime molds. Cell wall absent, chitinous covering, seen on spores, and they are, if they are growing on this, they are saprophytic. So after seeing about first three groups, chrysophytes and dinoflagellates, autotrophic, very few members heterotrophic, euglenoids like a connecting link between autotrophism and heterotrophism, because sometimes they will do photosynthesis, but if the situation is not right, they will switch to heterotrophism, and here we are seeing that saprophytic mode of nutrition has taken the center stage. There is no other alternative mode of nutrition over here. They are absolutely saprophytic, that is, they are going to decompose their organic matter outside their body and then absorb it. This is saprophytism, and I hope you remember that basic difference between holozoic and saprophytic mode of nutrition. In holozoic, we take it inside first and then we digest. In saprophytism, we digest it outside first and then we absorb it later. So they are saprophytic. Slime molds have various genera, but their genera are not under the scope of this level, so I am leaving that. Let us move on to the next group, which is a larger group. But before that, is there any doubt here, children? If you have any doubts, please ask. Anyone awake or not? Oh, my class is sleeping. Children, wake up.
Yes, ma'am, got it.
Got it? Everybody got it?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
All right.
Ma'am, what is the mode of nutrition?
Mode of nutrition is saprophytic. Saprophytism means the organism will target dead and decaying matter, so it is not going to target a living organism. And second, in saprophytism, digestion takes place outside the body. So digestion क्या होता है? आप कॉम्प्लेक्स चीजों को ब्रेक डाउन करते हैं, फिर एब्जॉर्ब करते हैं. डाइजेशन हो रहा है, लेकिन बॉडी से बाहर हो रहा है. And this is very clear cut difference between Holozoic nutrition and saprophytic nutrition. Holozoism is like amoeba, like us. We take our food inside first and then we digest it. But in saprophytism, they digest it first outside and then they simply absorb that digested material. Jesse, for example, this is a piece of bread, right? You might have seen a grayish green kind of bread mold on your bread. But that green content is their fruiting body. The fungus was already present in the form of mycelia in your bread. These mycelia are transparent, whitish, and they are microscopic. We did not observe it, but they were actually spreading in my bread. And what were they doing in that time? They were secreting digestive enzymes so that the carbohydrate of the bread gets digested. And now that digested simple sugar is being absorbed by the mycelia. And that is how they keep growing. Once they have grown enough, now is the time to produce those tiny reproductive bodies that we observe like grayish green growth on the bread. So what did they do? They digested first outside and then they absorbed it. That is saprophytism. होलोजोइज्म में आप पहले अंदर इंजेक्शन करते हैं, अंदर डाइजेशन होता है बॉडी के अंदर, बॉडी के बाहर होता है, देन दैट इज saprophytic mode of nutrition. ये तो 10th में I thought it was clear, but if it is not, never too late to learn. Clear now?
Yes, ma'am.
मैम अगर
Alright
बॉडी के
then.
बाहर डाइजेशन हो रहा है तो
हाँ,
हाँ बॉडी से बाहर एंजाइम भी तो निकालने पड़ेंगे फिर.
तो निकालते हैं. Fungi secrete enzymes on the substrate on which they grow. And very good question, because I will give you one more very relevant example. Have you heard about lichen?
Yes,
यस मैम.
ma'am.
What are lichens? Does anyone remember? Lichen.
Yes, ma'am.
This is a symbiotic association of algae and fungi. Okay, we know that. But do you know where do lichens grow? Have you seen a lichen in your real life? Have you seen it?
Ma'am, I have seen that in a picture in mountains.
Hmm. So, were they growing on the bare rock or on the bark of a tree?
Ma'am, rock.
Yes, yes, rocks or tree bark. Now, you can imagine how dry, hard these substrates are. If something is able to grow on this, it must be making these substrate a little more soft, fragile, or they must be dissolving it slowly. How? Lichen में fungi or algae, they have come together because algae can do photosynthesis. But before that, the humble algae requires some water. It requires certain minerals to do photosynthesis. And who is going to give it that? Bare rock, it will never yield anything. So fungi actually secrete certain substances which will slowly, suppose this is the rock surface, so slowly its surface material will be dissolved, and rock contains all the inorganic salts. Whichever salts are present in the soil, even the rock contains all of them because soil formation rock से ही होता है. लेकिन rock में वो solidified और compacted form में होता है. तो फंजाई ने कुछ सिक्रीट किया, आपके रॉक का अपर सरफेस जो है अब उसने कुछ सॉल्ट्स को डिसॉल्व किया है, एंड नाउ फंजाई इज गोइंग टू एब्जॉर्ब इट एंड मेक इट अवेलेबल टू द एल्गा. Now algae has to make food through photosynthesis which it is going to share with both of them. और इसीलिए दोनों साथ में रहते ही हैं. सिम्बायोसिस का मतलब ही यही है that both the partners should be benefited. ये नहीं है कि केवल आपको फायदा हो रहा है, हम इनएक्टिव पार्टनर की तरह वहां बैठे हुए हैं. So both the partners are mutually benefited, and this is how Ayush, fungi always secrete substances which dissolve the substratum. और इसीलिए जब किसी बेयर एरिया में पहली बार वेजिटेशन शुरू होता है तो उसका पहला जो भी ऑर्गेनिज्म होता है वो लाइकेन होता है, क्योंकि और किसी ऑर्गेनिज्म को वहां एस्टैब्लिश होने के लिए सबसे पहले प्रोड्यूसर्स को आना पड़ेगा। एंड प्लांट्स हैव रूट्स, बट रूट इस रॉक में कहाँ जाएगी, रूट को न्यूट्रिशन कहाँ से मिलेगा? तो सबसे पहले लाइकेन आते हैं, वो रॉक की सरफेस को थोड़ा डिसॉल्व करके उस पर ग्रो करते हैं। अब इस डिसोल्यूशन की वजह से रॉक की सरफेस पे एक बहुत थिन लेयर ऑफ सॉइल बन जाता है। अब उतनी थिन लेयर में कौन से प्लांट्स की रूट जा सकती है? जिसमें रूट ना हो, राइजोइड हो, जैसे ब्रायोफाइट्स। तो लाइकेन के बाद नंबर 2 पे अगर कोई ऑर्गेनिज्म एकदम बेयर एरिया में खुद को एस्टैब्लिश कर सकता है वो है आपके ब्रायोफाइट्स। ब्रायोफाइट्स आते हैं, उनकी राइजोइड्स उस पतली सी लेयर में एस्टैब्लिश होती हैं, वो ग्रो करते हैं, एंड वंस दे डाई तो उनका जो बायोमास है अब वो इसके ऊपर धीरे धीरे एक्यूमुलेट होता है। तो ये भी एक सॉइल फॉर्मेशन का काम करता है, क्योंकि सॉइल में ऑर्गेनिक इनऑर्गेनिक दोनों चीजें होनी चाहिए। तो पहले लाइकेन के फंगस ने सॉइल को डिसॉल्व, रॉक को डिसॉल्व किया, then they kept growing, and once this process has happened, now the bryophytes have established themselves. Once the bryophytes have died, another layer has been formed so that some plants can start establishing there. और इस तरह वेजिटेटिव सक्सेशन होता है। किसी बेयर एरिया में वेजिटेशन का जो इस्टेब्लिशमेंट होता है इसे सक्सेशन कहते हैं, और ये ऐसे शुरू होता है। तो ये बात हमेशा याद रखें that saprophytic organisms are going to secrete certain enzymes so that on whichever substrate they are present, it can be dissolved and then they will absorb it. So that's how fungi or slime molds survive. Is it clear, Ayush? Is it clear? Tell me. Then we will move forward.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So this is about your slime molds, and because of their mobility, because of this property that when it is time for them to form the fruiting body or reproductive structure, how those unicellular amoeboid cells form and perform a particular kind of motion. They come together, they form this multinucleated mass. What is the intelligence behind it and how these cells do it? There is a lot of scope for research in this area. Slime molds are absolutely fascinating organisms, and already a lot of research is going on, but there is already too much yet to explore. So you must check it out. These are really beautiful organisms. Have you seen the reproductive bodies of slime molds? So beautiful. And there is a lot to learn about them as well. And now, children, let us move on to the last group of kingdom Protista, which is protozoans. And I hope you all remember protozoans, isn't it? Protozoans. प्रोटोजोआ से इंडिया में एक बहुत ही प्रीवेलेंट डिजीज होती है, किसी को याद है? टेल मी, व्हाट इज दैट डिजीज? अरे
Malaria.
yes, and what is the name of that organism?
Plasmodium.
Protozoan Plasmodium.
Plasmodium. Yes. So protozoa is a group of unicellular organisms, but this group is very diverse. Again, just like your entire kingdom Protista also, this subgroup is also going to be very diverse in their nutritional habits, in their cell types, in their mobilities, and so on. So we are going to see heterotrophic ones, which could be holozoic, which could be parasitic, which could be having flagella, which could not be having flagella, and so on. A variety of cell types and mode of nutrition. So let us see how we are going to talk about them. So we are going to learn about them first in respect to their mobility. So some of them are amoeboid, amoeboid protozoans. Amoeboid protozoan से मतलब है protozoa means single cell eukaryotic cell and it is amoeba like cell. Actually we are talking about amoeba only. So here if we remember this example then many things become clear. Locomotion through pseudopodia. Now what is pseudopodia? I just explained for cytoplasmic streaming. What is pseudopodia, children? Locomotion will take place through pseudopodia. So, the cytoplasmic streaming pushes the plasma membrane in a particular direction so that it extends out and takes the organism further. For example, if this is the amoeba and it needs to go to this direction, then its cytoplasmic streaming is focusing towards formation of pseudopodia like this, and they are going to push the plasma membrane. So in the next stage, we will see that these pseudopodia get elongated. These will become elongated, but the total volume of cytoplasm is going to be constant. So if most of it is focused this way, this has to shift. And if this is coming forward, this back area will be dragged along with it. So now it has moved some distance. And again, in whichever direction it needs to go or if it needs to catch a prey, the cytoplasm will be directed towards that direction to push the plasma membrane and form particular structure in order to grab the food item and engulf it. So this is how the amoeba moves, and of course it is going to have a nucleus and all. Now what is the mode of nutrition? Can anybody tell me what is the mode of nutrition in amoeba?
Ma'am, phagocytosis.
Endocytosis is the mechanism. I am asking in terms of autotrophic or heterotrophic.
Heterotrophic.
Heterotrophic,
Okay.
holozoic,
And which type of heterotrophism am I talking about?
holozoic,
Yes,
holozoic.
होलोजोइक. Yes. So याद रखें कि वो जो engulf करने का तरीका है endocytosis वो mechanism है. When I'm asking about mode of nutrition, then your first level is going to be heterotrophism, and heterotrophism has got three types: holozoic, saprophytic and parasitic. So please clarify कि कौन से type का. So यहाँ पर mode of nutrition is holozoic. होलोजोइक तो जरूर आपको मेंशन करना है क्योंकि होलोजोइक से हम आप और एग्जामिनर तीनों समझ जाएंगे कि बच्चे को पता है कि ये हेटेरोट्रॉफिक है. ठीक है. अब ये हाँ yes yes
Ma'am, in case of amoeba, endocytosis and phagocytosis are same.
फैगोसाइटोसिस. इस वर्ड का मतलब समझिए. फैगोस मतलब ईटिंग, राइट. फैगोस इसका मतलब है ईटिंग और साइटोसिस यानी बाय द सेल. So phagocytosis is when a cell eats something. अब वो सेल कोई भी हो सकती है. वो सेल अमीबा की सेल भी हो सकती है जो कुछ खा रहा है. वो सेल हमारे इम्यून सिस्टम की WBC भी हो सकती है जो बैक्टीरिया को खा रही है. So WBC is a cell. Now it is doing what? Eating. Phagos. So phagocytosis term is generally applied to other than amoeba cells which also show this kind of property कि उन्होंने किसी अदर चीज को खा लिया है. तो आपने देखा है कि हमारे इम्यून सेल्स बैक्टीरिया को या कोई अनवांटेड पार्टिकल है उसको एनगल्फ करके डिस्ट्रॉय करने की कैपेबिलिटी रखते हैं, and that is phagocytosis. So on technical level even endocytosis is exactly phagocytosis क्योंकि एक सेल है जो कुछ खा रही है. और endocytosis नाम क्यों दिया? Because cell is taking something in. It is importing something which is not liquid, not gas. Liquid होता तो osmosis से आ जाता, गैस होता तो डिफ्यूजन से आ जाता, बट द सेल हैज टू इंपोर्ट समथिंग सॉलिड, देन इट इज इंपोर्टिंग इनसाइड ऑफ द सेल एंडो साइटोसिस मतलब इन द सेल। उसी तरह फैगो यानी ईटिंग, साइटोसिस मतलब इन द सेल और बाय द सेल। तो ये दोनों एट अ लेवल सेम प्रोसेस है। अमीबा के केस में हम एंडोसाइटोसिस बोल देते हैं, डब्ल्यूबीसी के केस में हम फैगोसाइटोसिस बोल देते हैं। इज दिस अंडरस्टूड कि जो काम हो रहा है सेल कर रही है और सेल कुछ खा रही है तो आप फैगो प्रीफिक्स अटैच कर देते हैं। गॉट इट?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So now we have learned mode of nutrition. Now where do they live? Can amoeba live in dry condition, children?
No,
It is
ma'am.
aquatic.
Yeah. So amoeba is generally observed in freshwater bodies or moist places like very moist soil. So these are holozoic and found in moist places or water bodies. Now, some of them are pathogenic. Not all of them, but some of them might be pathogenic, and in case they are pathogenic, they are parasitic. But majority of them are free living, and so majority of them are free living holozoic type of organisms. This is about your amoeboid protozoan, and one example is there in front of you. You will find out the rest four. Now, talking about the other class, flagellated protozoans. फ्लैजिलेटेड, मैंने कहा फ्लैजिलेटेड है यानी फ्लैजिला है। फ्लैजिला है तो उसमें मूवमेंट फ्लैजिला की हेल्प से हो रहा होगा। दो चीजें क्लियर है। व्हाट अबाउट देयर मोड ऑफ न्यूट्रिशन? So it is observed in general that most of the flagellated protozoans are parasites. So let us go there and learn about them. Are you able to recall any protozoan which is having flagella and which causes serious disease? And let me know the time also. Okay, ये वाला हो जाएगा। Flagellated protozoans. All right, so they have got the flagella, which is very peculiarly attached to their body. See, this is the length of the body. So, the flagella will be attached with the length of the body, and then there will be some free length as well. तो होता क्या है, ये फ्लैजिला का जो फ्री एंड है, जब ये अंडुलेटिंग मूवमेंट शो करता है, अंडुलेटिंग मतलब वेव लाइक मूवमेंट, ये वाला जो मूवमेंट होता है दिस इज अंडुलेटिंग मूवमेंट, अंडुलेटिंग मूवमेंट। Once this shows that movement, then entire organism can move along with it because the same flagella is attached throughout the length of the organism. And where do we observe this? Now this I am trying to show trypanosoma. So trypanosoma, if people remember, is a serious parasite. It is a protozoan and it causes sleeping sickness. Do you remember sleeping sickness?
Yes, ma'am.
ओके, क्लास 9 का सब कुछ वॉश आउट हो चुका है, हाँ? ओके, so they have got flagella for movement. Most of them are serious parasites. Their mode of nutrition is parasitic. If they are parasitic, they are disease causing. So they are pathogenic actually, pathogenic. And one example is trypanosoma, which causes sleeping sickness. There are many other flagellated protozoans causing serious diseases. Please find it out. More examples, I mean. and I will be ending here because we have got to cover ciliated ones and then the sporozoite kind of protozoans. They are important where we need to talk about Plasmodium. So I am stopping here, and while I am trying to take your attendance, if you have any more doubts, please ask.